Hello, I'm Daisy Mack, and this is Spiritual Mixtape. And today we have a Friday episode, and these ones are usually more thought starters or interviews. And today I thought I would give you my thoughts on disappointment. And before you get worried and think, oh God, do I need to switch this one off? No. Disappointment is a necessary signpost in the road, so that you either know you really want the destination, or so that you can readjust your GPS, course correct, and get on the right path. The thing is, when I was younger, I really didn't understand this about disappointment at all. And when you work in a really fast-paced industry like I was in, disappointment was often flashes of very fast anger because you were moving at such a speed. You didn't have time to process disappointment. So frustrations would actually build up and up, and you'd have flashes of anger and people would burn out, and the machine would just keep moving. The cogs would keep turning. Working for myself and really COVID, I talk about COVID a lot because it really had the most profound effect on me personally. But COVID and working for myself has really slowed me down enough that I'm able to feel disappointment. And today has been, day after the eclipses has been incredible. Like, really incredible. My studio at home in LA is finally looking every bit like I'd want it to look. Cozy enough that you can have clients here. They can feel safe. They can experience breath work, meditation, energy work. They can just talk to you. It's such a beautiful space. I can come in here morning to evening, work away, create breath works, all the things, like it's such a beautiful space to be in. So that's amazing. And I've had a client in today a new client, and she was just so lovely. And it's very special when you connect to someone in a work capacity that you want to see win at every step. Yeah, let's go with that. At every step. So all of those things are incredible, and I should be on the biggest high. But I've also had to do, the grunt work, as you call it, which no matter whether you work for yourself or whether you work for someone else, there's always a bit of grunt work in everybody's job. And while doing the grunt work, I've realized that a project I was working on is challenged. Is definitely challenged. And I need to make some decisions on how to amend it. And rather than pulling my hair out about the people who, the companies that you work with that let you down, I have been able to see, just like I said at the beginning about disappointment, I've been able to see that I really want this project. So I have clarity. The not having it makes me want it, maybe. That's with dating. That's not always with business. And if I continue down the road with this company, well, I think I'll just be in exactly the same position I'm in today, but in 6 months' time, with another 6 months' work under my belt. So in the old days, that sort of disappointment and frustration, it would have clouded everything. It would have been I couldn't have emotionally held that. It would have been like, if I'm the sky and that one situation is cloud, it wouldn't be a cloud, it'd be a whole storm. Right now, it feels just like a cloud on the horizon. Like, oh, maybe tomorrow will be a bit rainy. Maybe it won't. And honestly, maybe it won't rain tomorrow, even though there's cloud over there. really comes from understanding how to reframe disappointment, how to hold myself, how to create an emotional container for all the ways in which this is a big thing for me. I don't know if it is for you as well, but I don't like being treated how I wouldn't treat somebody. It's probably very judgmental and probably not completely true either. But I'm like, well, if I provide a service like this, why wouldn't they? Anyway, so you do have to grow up and face the fact that everyone's doing their best. Even the people that aren't really doing their best are doing something. And what are you going to do? Are you going to let their energy, I think this is probably the best point I can make. Are you going to let their energy become your dark cloud? Like, are you going to take that from them? Is that the energy exchange you want to be in? Or do you want to just be like, let me use this as information, handle how I feel about this, let my feelings pass and move on tomorrow? Or am I going to be, I know I said this in the last podcast, in righteous indignation about it. And I know that that's not quite what I meant by this. And when I was thinking about this episode, I was like, do we do some energy work? And I think that is the way to use this episode to help you the most. So the energy exchange, like I said, about this company that could have clouded today, and today could have, this day that really is monumental for me. Like, I finally have my Spiritual Mixtape studio where I can see clients. That's what today should have been about. And it will be about that. But it's also about this moment of sharing how to move with two types of energy. So if I was to teach someone something about today, or if somebody were to say to me, how have you changed that energy? Like, how have you not blown your top, lost the will? Well, first of all, I have an amazing support network. And I spoke to James, my other half, who also works from home, is based from home. And just having like a normal chat with somebody helps. And then I called up one of my friends, Jess, who gave me loads of practical advice about the particular work problem I was going through. And I had a few celebrations on WhatsApp and other places so that I could just change my energy myself. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm smiling the whole way through. And if you knew me when I worked in the music industry, you'll know how that is like a big... that I didn't used to smile through the problems in any of my old jobs back in the day. I really internalized and took on some of those problems that probably weren't mine to fix to start off with. So I created a safety net of people I could, like, reliable, trusted friends who either pick you up, celebrate with you, or can give you amazing advice and that you can respect and look up to. And I would say, like, if you've got people that actually sit across those three, like, good job picking great friends. That changes my energy immediately. But I also did like an hour of breathwork and meditation this morning. I don't do that every day. Please don't think that that is the way to go. But now I understand why that happened today, because I do think I'm a little bit cooler, a bit of a cooler cucumber this evening because I've spent so long regulating my nervous system this morning. But I also think I understand the energy exchange that I used to get myself into. And I used to want to fire back when someone hit me or if I felt like they were hitting me with a big lot of energy, a big no, a big, this isn't going to work, I'd want to fire harder at them. And I just don't feel like that anymore. All I feel is like solutions. All I feel is, how do I make the most of this situation? And it's honestly because I want to preserve my energy. It's because I look at like, well, if I fire everything out at this, and I probably still do a bit, you know, like I'll send a complaint email or whatever, you know, I'll let my feelings be. I'm not saying that my feelings or my opinion on a situation isn't being heard, but I also like to think that I head off some of these problems before they actually happen, which isn't necessarily what I would have done before. So the energy is super important. And how do you feel into that? Well, I trust my body. I don't know if you guys trust your body now. I listen to what it says. I definitely said this at the end of the podcast with Lisa, is like, as a woman, you're really programmed to distrust all of your spidey senses, especially around creepy dudes in the office. I'll leave it there. But I trust myself now. I don't always get it right. I don't always get out of situations in time. But in general, I trust where I'm going, even if other people can't see it. And that makes decisions like the disappointment easier to handle, because they don't come as a huge surprise. It's like when I look at this work situation that I'm facing today and I'm like, oh, that's annoying and it's going to take this amount of work to get out of it. It's like, well, in the last 6 months, how many times have you questioned this? And it's not a ton, but it was still there. There was a moment right at the beginning of the relationship, a moment in February and a moment in March. So it's not a surprise, right? And when you look at it like that, that changes the level of energy you can give to the disappointment, because, well, it was always there. There was always a clue. And next time, I'll trust those senses more. But I think the reason why I didn't trust them at the time is I wasn't fully committed in every part of my body to this work project that I wanted to bring to fruition. And a client of mine, Atty, and a friend, and she's been on the podcast too, said to me yesterday in her breathwork session with me, she said, my desires are being challenged by my beliefs. And again, this changes the energy of everything when you look at the situation where you're handling disappointment again. My desires are challenged. My desires are challenged by my beliefs. I wanted to create this project, but did I really believe that I could do it? If I really believed that I could do it, would I have picked that partner that I know is about to let me down? Or, you know, the answer is I absolutely wouldn't have done. There was a different company I could have gone for at the time. They were slightly more expensive. I didn't want to commit to the expense because I wasn't sure how much I believed I could sell this particular project. So there you go. A few thoughts for you as you're working your way through this Mercury retrograde, letting the places where your tech or where your communication is stumbling guide you. Rather than points of frustration, points of anger, let it be questions like, is this really the right path for me? Is this really... Or am I fully committed to this destination that I'm willing to keep going? Or think about it like this. Delta, am I going to get into trouble for saying this? We're talking about a hypothetical. Delta haven't really cancelled any flights. Delta cancelled my flight. Do I wait to get on them tomorrow, or do I take JetBlue this evening? Yes, I did pick the bougier airlines. That's what's going on here. Work with this energy, as frustrating as it is, and ask what it is informing you of. And then if you can go a layer deeper, like lovely Atty did, and be like, my desires are being challenged by my beliefs. It's like, what belief got you into this mess? I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what belief could get you onto a Delta airline. I quite like Delta. I like JetBlue. Big fan of Southwest as well. So maybe airlines don't quite work in every part of this story, but you understand where I'm going. This is a update for you based on handling disappointment. And I hope that my journey with disappointment is actually I don't want to say a source of inspiration, because that feels very arrogant of me, but I hope that it cheers you, encourages you to keep going, because April is definitely a month of it's not messy, but it can be slightly turbulent energy. Like, it's going to feel like you're having moments of walking through very hectic current, like jet streams. I love all of these slightly aeronautical terms that we're using on the podcast right now. But for those who aren't really feeling or didn't really feel the eclipse in a big way, you are likely to walk into some really big energy around the 20th of April. And I'm definitely going to make some resources available in my newsletter, my social media, and the podcast about this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. For me, this is the only time in my life that this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus is ever going to happen. It won't, like last time it happened, it was like 1941. And then, so it's going to be another, I can't do the maths, 80 years till it happens again. So for some of us, we're never going to feel it again in our lifetime. Once in a lifetime opportunity to change your systems. And if you are experiencing life like I am, where you're like, I am handling disappointment in a way that I have never been able to handle disappointment before in the whole of my life. And that is actually such a sign of growth. Then this April 20, and really just everything that's happening at Venus is up to a lot of stuff. She's hanging out with, she's in Aries right now, and she does a lot of like sexy dances, is the way I can put it, with like Mercury retrograde and Creon. And Creon's been a big player as well for the last, since November. So there is change coming for us, and there are new leaders that are being born. Quite literally, you don't need to be in your teens, 20s, 30s. You could be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and being a leader that you may never understood that you could be. Like, there is a new world being born here. So I'm just going to wrap the podcast there and say, if this was meaningful to you, if this resonated with you, please consider leaving a review. It really helps to get these special energy updates, this community spread a little further and make more people feel held. So please leave a review. And on Monday's episode, I think we'll be back to a meditation. And I have to see what comes up as to where we go with it. But yeah, it'll be a meditation on Monday, and I'm very excited to take you through it. Until then, thank you so much for listening to me for a full 19 minutes. You are amazing, and I love being part of your journey.